everyone, welcome to Security Live. Security Live is a streaming show focused on AWS and AWS partners solving security challenges for customers. Each show we feature an AWS security partner and we discuss various topics related to all things security, compliance, and AI, etc. You can tune into Security Live on Twitch, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And we stream every other Tuesday from 8 a.m. Pacific time and normally 4 p.m. GMT time, but we've doing this clock change thing.
The Twilight Zone.
So you can join me in the chat. You can join us in the chat and you can maybe tell me what time it is where you are, because it's that time of the year where here over in EMEA, over in Europe, we've moved the clocks back and we've fallen out of sync with everyone. Let me introduce myself. My name is Margot Cronin. I'm a security and compliance specialist SA with AWS, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host.
Hey everybody, my name is Rob Hale. I lead AWS's security partner business in EMEA, and right now in the UK, we have no idea what time it is. It's that really awkward moment, as Margot said. We've changed our clock times a little bit early this year. Everybody else is not changed yet, so yeah.
Yeah, wrong side of the road, marmalade, all of these unusual cultural things. What can we say?
There's nothing wrong with marmalade, and let's not even get started on the imperial system, although, you know.
Yes,
we could fill an entire session up with that.
So normally we stream at 4 p.m. GMT time, correct? Every month, except for this month.
That is our normal time, except for just today.
Yes, until we stop moving the clocks back. And we were just saying that every year we're going, oh no, this is the last year. They're actually going to stop it. And then next year they do it again. So
it's good that we don't have any issues based on any computer issues based on time anymore.
Maybe AI can solve it for us, actually. That would be a good agentic AI use case, wouldn't it? Surely they could fix it.
Could you get an AI agent to change the clock on my car? That would be the test.
Or the clock in my kitchen. I think that's the one that I look at and I think, oh, maybe I'll leave that until we move the clocks again. But listen, enough about clocks, okay? People are going to be, they're like, bring on the security partner, Margot. We are thrilled to have Lahav Savir join us. He is the CTO and co-founder of AllCloud. And AllCloud deliver a prevention-first security approach for organizations' most sensitive workloads that enables AI application development and deployments in a scalable manner. And he's going to talk to us all about this today. And they are a premier consulting partner and an audited MSP partner for AWS. So we're really thrilled to have him on the show.
Well, thank you for that. I mean, such a comprehensive introduction. Amazing.
I think you can do a better job. You actually have to do a better job now. I've just raised.
Yeah, so I mean, thank you so much for having me here today. Pleasure to be here. I mean, for the second time on the Security Live. Last time was in the Hamburg Summit. And just a couple of words about myself and AllCloud. I'm the CTO for AllCloud, as you said. I've been also the AWS top ambassador for 2025 in EMEA.
Wow.
I got a big award. I mean, a big surprise for me. So thank you for that. But more important, I mean, what are we doing, right? So AllCloud is a premier consulting partner, but also a strategic collaboration partner for Amazon. We operate in Europe and in North America. And I think what's most interesting, we are highly focused on two main areas that seems to be so relevant today. One is AI, right? AI transformation happening big time. And we are realizing that it's all about building agents, running agents, getting as much as possible with autonomous operations. And what we learned that this is all relying on a very strong security capabilities and foundations. And this is what I'll talk about today is I mean, the other area is the security, how we build an AWS environment that is truly secured, that is, I mean, eliminating or at least making the maximum possibilities to avoid mistakes and leaks. And this is how we came to the prevention-first approach. So excited to discuss more about it soon.
That's awesome. Great to have you back with us. So, you know, we were talking, and we do obviously a little bit of a prep before we do these sessions, just to get to know each other. Although we know Lahav and AllCloud really well, but we were talking around, you know, what's the best approach to security? There's been a lot of talk around either protected environments or focusing more on detection. So, what's making these kind of environments attractive to attackers, and what's the best approach? Is it that protective, or is it more of a detective approach?
Well, so I think generally speaking, Amazon security and the standard practices are good, right? I mean, there's nothing bad with them. And I mean, eventually the ecosystem is so big, so it works very well. But when we talk about large environments with a lot of people involved and a lot of changes, I think, the more you go to more sensitive workloads that are less tolerant to mistakes, you look more for the prevention first. And what is a prevention first? Eventually, if we look, historically, right, we used to build our data center and put a firewall in front, and we were able to control every bit and byte living in or coming into the environment. In the cloud environment, it's a little bit different, right? I mean, there's a whole API control plane that is, we interact with the API, and there's a whole data plane where the VPC and the network is. Eventually, the configurations are running through the Amazon API, what is the control plane, and not the data plane, and we have less control of that. And the approach which we bring and which we think is a stronger for sensitive workloads is a prevention first. We are very big believers in data perimeter. I don't know how many people out there are very familiar with data perimeter. I think it's one of the Amazon most brilliant innovations that came in. Amazon with the data perimeter really enable us as a customer to build a very clear definition of a perimeter around the Amazon APIs. Is not our VPC, is the other dimension where all the configurations happening. You were asking me what is our, believe and preferred approach for securing the environment is building a very clear, data perimeter around the AWS configuration side, whether it's an SCP, VPC endpoints, or resource policies or RCPs, and then of course putting everything possible on the detection side like we used to do with a lot, so many tools available. So the combination of prevention first and then all the detective is how I think customers should build their environments.
And how do you see the role of AI in all of this? I mean, when I'm dealing with highly regulated customers with sensitive workloads, often they're kind of thinking in terms of using AI to improve their detection and protection mechanisms, when maybe actually we kind of observe security problems that need to be resolved first, security practices that need to be resolved first before that happens. How do you see AI playing here? Do you see it like actually helping? Do you see it expediting issues? Do you see the same problems just at a bigger scale?
Well, definitely, I think the rise of use of AI and the appetite and the desire of each and every customer, even very big one and very sensitive ones to use AI, just elevate the need for stronger security, because AI is in some way even behave, on its own, right? It can make the decisions, which are sometimes even undeterministic, right? So I think the point that we are running workloads, which in some way are autonomous, requires us to take, the security to the next level. So to build stronger guardrails around where this, agent is running, that is possibly make decisions. We have to put the very clear guardrails of what data it accesses and what two parallel agents at the same time can access. So, I think it raised the need for the next level of security, even before we talk about the AI security on its own, from prompt injection, there's a whole threat landscape that is developing. So I see those customers who really build a strong foundation, the landing zone with the prevention first, become a differentiator for them running AI workloads for the reason they trust. They trust the environment and they can do things faster, comparing to those who just implement in their normally open style of configurations or detective first. They are a little bit more cautious on deploying these AI workloads because it's a little bit more risky. So I think the combination of prevention first and AI workloads is probably the good recipe for success, making AI at scale.
Just going back to what you said before, Lahav, around data perimeters. So take us through, what is a data perimeter, and then, is it something that anybody can implement, or is it something you need to have a distinct plan and an architect from the beginning? What's your experience?
Well, number one, data perimeter is available to anyone. I mean, data perimeter was created and invented by the AWS Identity Services team. They put up the framework. I think they even invented the name of data perimeter, and it's basically available to anyone, right? Data perimeter is a combination of the security control policies, of the VPC endpoint policies, and the resource policies, or even the RCPs, which are more broader, right? So SCP stands for security control policies, and RCPs, right, for the resource control policies. So a network control policies are network endpoint policies is that. So I think the combination of the three and defining who are the principles that can interact with my environment on the resource side, what are my principles, what resource they can interact with outside or inside the organization, who can interact from our network, and what identities or principles can work from our environment. Putting all this together is what makes that data perimeter working. It's a configuration. It's a little bit tricky because there are so many conditional keys and configurations there, but eventually it's available to anyone. And I think it's more of everything is a mindset. Am I going to protect my environment with a prevention-first approach? Yes or no? The thing is complex. And I think this is what we try to do as a partner, is to kind of reduce the complexity from our customers and eventually have a predefined or pre-configured data perimeter, which eventually is a set of policies that achieve either the whole organization perimeter or an OU perimeter. And we try to, accelerate their journey and simplify their configuration, because our customers are mostly interesting to have, run their business workloads on the environment, not to have all that detailed configuration. This is where they leverage us, and this is where our solutions are helping them.
I think the identity and access management team are going to absolutely love you, Lahav. I mean, they don't often get a lot of love on the show, and we're talking about, new buzz terms a lot of the time, but, you're calling out the IAM team, and we're not meant to use acronyms. That was what the acronym alert was down at the bottom there. So identity access management and service control policies and resource control policies. And something I often come across is this feeling sometimes our customers have that there's a proliferation of policies, that there's so much they can do. And you talked about the power of data perimeters, and that's definitely true. But sometimes it's nearly too powerful, right? Like there's this proliferation of policies, and customers can find that overwhelming. What recommendations do you have there, and can you help customers there?
I think the number one thing is build for what you need and what's possible. Right? I think there's, endless options of what's possible, right? So the number one thing which I'm recommending to customers is, let's look at your security needs. Let's build the environment for what you need. And interesting, and I'm lucky that I get the opportunity to work with very challenging customers that has either critical infrastructure or highly regulated or even defense-related stuff, that they really, push us to the edges of what's possible.
Yeah.
The number one thing is, build the security for your needs, not for what's possible. Because if you can, it can be a very long journey to what's possible, and it's inefficient to do something unnecessary. So map your needs and build the perimeter, but also think of what's the threat landscape is out there, right? I don't think there's a need for most customers, for any principal in the organization to be able to interact with any outside resources of my organization. So I think there are some general rules I would recommend everyone to put in place as a beginning of a data perimeter. Yeah. The other thing is, think of the supply chain evolution, right? We know that so often there are vulnerabilities which we consume through the supply chain. So the normally open situation, I think, is dangerous, right? So I would say work on a whitelist basis where you can, and it will eliminate a lot of the potential supply chain issues. live within your VPC, whitelist what your resources need to be consumed, and then let people now be as much as possible independent within this walled garden. Because the number one thing which we all care about, especially when we build these environments, is allow the agility, right? We want to deliver the promise of the cloud. The promise of the cloud is move quick, do things in service. You are a developer, you can run everything inside. So the idea of building a very strong data perimeter outside and allowing developers to have as much as possible freedom with their boundaries, of course, inside the cloud is a real promise that we want to bring to developers and to, retain the agility, even though this could be very hard on the environment.
Yeah, it's a key concept that we have, and one that is really important in security is to have almost friction-free security. So if you're configuring things correctly and you have environments that are configured so you can move quickly, security shouldn't be getting in your way, but it should be enabling you to do things in a secure manner. And so we also have the concept of security being the easy option or easier option, and that's really important with developers.
I do want to touch on this agility, because this is a key friction that we see, the paradox between security and agility, right? And something, is super important to double click on, because when you build those secure environment, for those who work in banks, I'm sure they have enough trauma for, right, nothing works out of the box. it's so hard to deploy anything. So what we learned in a solution that we offer is that we built what we call is a guardrail-aware CDK constructs or Terraform templates. There's no magic in them, but besides, they are built in a way for the normally closed environment. Okay, they are aware of the guardrails. They know those strict security policies. So me as a developer, when I deploy my Lambda, it won't hit all the guardrails that the security team put in place. So I can deploy my Lambda into the environment, following all the security best practices that were the golden path that was defined by my organization. And then it works great, because the alternative to that is, take your Terraform module from the repositories or the standard CDK construct, you immediately hit the guardrails. And this is where the negative experience is happening, which we want to avoid. Another element that we created, we learned that in large environment, there's a lot of communication happening between the landing zone team and the workload team. To communicate CMK, ARN, what CMK,
customer managed key and Amazon resource name. It's like a test. It's like an AWS certification exam.
The good thing is, Lahav, if we forget any acronym, we can just ask Margot, because honestly, she knows it all.
Well, maybe people in the chat can join in and answer some of the acronyms there for us.
So we are communicating a lot of landing zone information, and for those Unix admin in the past, right? Environment variables. So we used to configure. The application with so many environment variables, right? So we communicate a lot of information from the landing zone to the workload, like subnet IDs, like encryption keys, a lot of information. And by communicating this through what we call the metadata layer, we again reduce the friction of if I move if I deploy a workload between environments, there's a lot of changes need to happen because of these environment changes. Once we built a metadata layer, and these templates or constructs or modules are by definition reading them from the metadata, we reduce the friction of the developers, and they freely can push the workloads into different environments, and magically they work. The magic is because the information is available there. So by combining, building the guardrails, putting in between the metadata layer, coming together with the templates, they work fantastic together. And this is how we achieve security at one, but also the agility on the other side. And this is why we have the happy consumers, which we all look for, right? The developers, we want them to deploy as quick as they can.
And Lahav, how do you balance guiding customers when it comes to, we're talking there about data perimeter. So that's very much in the data protection or in the preventative, area. But then you need to balance that with detection. You can't just throw detection out of the window. So how do you balance that with customers, like enabling both of these practices in parallel, and then maybe, just to make it a multifaceted question, throwing in the automation and remediation at the end? How do you guide customers there at AllCloud?
So when we talk about sensitive workloads, I mean, the number one concept in securing environment is never trust one factor. So even though we put in place the prevention, it does not mean we give up any of the detection, not at all. It works, I mean, there are two elements of security. There's a prevention, the policies, the perimeter, but also detection. We keep on scanning for potential misconfigurations. We keep on scanning the different, mistakes that could happen in the policies everywhere. In IAM, in security groups, we continue monitor it. We don't give up anything. But to the point of now a response, so we also implement a response and automatic responses. We have not given up any policies. We added the upper layer of a prevention. But when we talk about, I mean, the auto-responding, so another key missing area that we identified with customers is how much are they ready for incident response? I mean, unhappily, we saw too many customers that build great environments, but they never took it to the fully operational step of wiring it to the SIEM, to the incident response capabilities. They haven't even trained and run trials on their environment how to respond. So part of our standardization of this solution is providing the full capabilities of wiring and integrating all the detective tools into the monitoring systems out there, into the SIEMs, into the auto remediation runbooks. So at the end, there's an environment which is well hardened, well monitored, workloads inside, but also operational ready. I mean, I'll give you one example, right? When you work with different libraries in the environment, there are different DevOps stacks deployed. When you realize there's a vulnerability in one of them, how would you know which teams, use whatever template that carry the vulnerability? By having this comprehensive, in some way, CMDB or clear asset management, the security team can quickly get to the team who run a specific workload in a specific account, a specific region, and reach out to them, please go update this, template that you've been used before, because it contains a potential security weakness. Wiring it all together, all the way to the fully operational thing, is really an accelerator for customers to really realize the value of the cloud. And then number one thing we're trying to achieve is trust. We want, customers to trust the platform, which will enable them to bring all the sensitive, all their, craziness of ideas to the cloud and enjoy it, because, right, the cloud and the technology is great. We want to make it available to customers to maximize their investment to the cloud and turn it to really a differentiator in their business, right? Drive whatever agents, only based on trust. That's what we learn. That's why we try to wire everything together from prevention to a fully operational environment.
Awesome. That's really cool. A lot of what we've spoken about today falls in under maybe zero trust. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, definitely. Everything is every request, every access, in or out to the environment should follow the zero trust. Verify at the request level, never trust a session. Every request should be monitored and verified. And I think this is what their perimeter does, right? It does not trust everything. If, for example, I have a session that was started, somewhere, and for some reason it will move somewhere else, it will likely fail, right? It's meant to fail because I got a permission to work from my location, from my device. If for some reason my token is, being used somewhere else, it should immediately fail. So yeah, data perimeter completely enforces zero trust, and all the way to the infrastructure part, not just to my session.
Yeah. And anyone who listens to the show knows this is my favorite question, but I genuinely like asking our guests this question. If there was one security problem, if I could give you a magic wand and there was one security problem that you could get rid of, something you're seeing customers do over and over again, what would that be?
I think the number one thing is think how the supply chain could work against you. Because I think we're in many ways very, very naive using the libraries available out there.
Yeah.
And if we don't put the boundaries around the environment, I think that all those great libraries that we're all relying on, I mean, I think it's literally relying on,
Yeah.
is super dangerous because it's an open source, and we have seen different behaviors on these libraries. So build a perimeter around your environment and assume those supply chain libraries can be used against you. Never trust them. And by closing things up, even though there is a vulnerable library, it will not work against you because it cannot interact with outside.
That's really, really good advice. I love that, and it's something that we talk to customers a lot about, and particularly developers as well, because they want to move fast and they want to use libraries of code and repositories and stuff to accelerate their coding, but that there's risk inherent in that. So you've got a huge amount of experience as AllCloud and an amazing team to have. How are you helping? And you've brought all this together for customers. So how can customers take advantage of that? Is there a service that AllCloud provide to customers that incorporates all this learning?
Probably, yes, of course. So I mean, yeah.
Who knew?
Right. I mean, luckily with the strong collaboration with the different AWS services, from the identity services team to the LZA team, we launched TrustStack. TrustStack is our solution. Everything which I explained up until now is a package solution for customers to deploy their environment and provision their AWS environment with a prevention-first approach. And people ask me, okay, but we do have a huge landscape out there built there, and we're unlikely gonna do a new one. Of course, no one expects you to do something new. But in order to help customers to leverage all this accumulated knowledge, we came up with what we call the security needs analysis. The security needs analysis, yeah, right there for me, is a way that we map the customer needs to what the best practice is. And after mapping it, we can help them to pick and choose whatever capabilities they want to bring into their environment. And of course, if it's a net new environment, we have a ready-made, references that are quick to deploy, and you can shorten, the time from 2 years of full implementation to a couple of months. But this is for net new. For existing one, we can pick and choose all these goodies and bring it to your environment.
And so anyone who wants to try that, the QR code is up in that corner there for me, up there apparently.
Possibly that corner.
Yeah, there we go.
It's on the screen.
So please take it down. Lahav, very quickly, I think you'll be joining us at reInvent, right?
Yes, I'll be joining you at reInvent for AI Live.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, thank you.
Love our friends at AI Live. Obviously,
Yes.
the show isn't quite as cool as Security Live, but it's getting there.
Good competition. Love it.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me. A pleasure, and I look forward to see everyone again.
Thank you.
Amazing having you with us. Thanks, Lahav.
Thank you.
Coming up next show, coming up next, we have, I think, a very interesting guest as well, another attendee of reInvent that's going to be joining us, and that is Palo Alto, I believe.
Yeah, we're having a chat with Spencer Philman. Should be cool. Folks, see you very soon.